Good evening, ladies and gents. We are back with another episode of the Fanzone Podcast. A very special episode indeed. Something happened this weekend. Something happened. Something went well for once. And boy, has it been a while since it felt like we've said that. Some may say season defining. Some may say history making. But what a weekend it was. Of course, we're talking about the Papa John's Trophy final in which Bolton brought it home.
There's a little bit more enthusiasm in your voice this week, Ben, which is nice. Only ever so slightly. But, just tuned up a little bit.
It certainly beats drawing at Sheffield Wednesday and a few mediocre results, I suppose we could say. Yeah, a great day out indeed. And if you are watching at home, thanks for joining us. We do appreciate it. Let us know your thoughts on what we're talking about as we go along. We are expecting plenty of you tonight to be getting your thoughts in the live chat. If you're still, not too either hungover or tired from the weekend's events, then get your comments in on the live chat, and we look forward to reading them. But as always, we'll go with our post-match reactions. I'm expecting some more enthusiasm from both of you as well. Colin, what did you make of it?
I thought it was a fantastic day for the club. First of all, obviously we've heard it mentioned kind of what we've been through over the last few years and kind of what it's resulted in at the end of that, and I think that's the start of things to come. I think in terms of the club and its trajectory all being well, I think it's important that we obviously keep our feet on the ground, but obviously enjoy that moment from the weekend. It was. Well, some of the words I wrote down, it was, resounding. It was, organised. They stuck to the roles. They were aggressive. Everything you want, really, in a final. And yeah, it was magical. It was one for the memory banks anyway.
Absolutely, indeed, it was. It was a fantastic performance, and what capped really, I think. A decent turnaround, both in terms of individual performances and really the energy around the squad. I know Everett said in his pre-match presser that there was a great deal of energy back in the side that he perhaps had lacked for quite a few weeks before that, which I think we saw sort of starting at Sheffield Wednesday and has slowly picked back up and found its way back into the side again. And obviously that was topped off with a
I think we're a tiny little bit apprehensive a little bit as to whether or not that would be working in our favour or not. I mean, I certainly was anyway. Like, obviously, it's quite a big gap from when we finished against Sheffield Wednesday to Sunday. But yeah, I mean, they impressed us significantly, didn't they, with their performance?
Indeed, they did. Ange, what did you make of the game?
Well, it was a belter, weren't it? To be fair, it helped that Plymouth just didn't turn up because they didn't. But we were just so on it, so sharp, so hungry, full of energy. Like, they did not stop running. I've got about 6 men of the match. I don't even know where to go with it.
You need to pick one, and you can only.
Yeah, no. But it's hard. I love it when it's hard. It was a joy to watch, and for that to be my boy's first game at Wembley, we've been calling and cried at Wembley, so it's like it was lovely for him to be able to. The whole day's just, even though we're up at like 4 a.m. to get down there, the whole day was brilliant, and then that result just absolutely iced the cake. To come out after 5 minutes and then you could like breathe a bit, couldn't you? That first goal went in and I was like, right, now I can try and just relax a little bit.
I think for the people that are lucky enough to be there with the family and stuff, I think that's what makes it even more special when you achieve a victory like that at such a venue, because obviously they're the things that kind of last a lifetime, don't they, in terms of your memory and stuff.
And it was like the biggest ever margin of victory, weren't it, as well, in that cup or something? It's just.
I think I know it's League One level and the lower ends of EFL, but I think you'll do well to find a performance such a dominant performance in any of the recent finals at Wembley. I think, if you look back at, even when Man United played Newcastle early on in the season, in the league trophy, that final wasn't as dominant, and we just absolutely wiped the floor with them.
I absolutely didn't see it coming either. So the pre-match pod, I'd said it'll be close, it'll be tight, we might nick a 1-0 or something. Well, this is why I don't do predictions. But I didn't for a minute think it would be that dominant from us. I didn't. I just, because of where Plymouth are, I just didn't.
It was certainly a spectacle, I think, is one of the resounding words that stands out for me. An unbelievable afternoon. And to go 3-0 up just right after half-time with Kachunga,
Guess which goal I missed?
Too busy on the pop.
Toilet. Cue massive. Yeah.
It was just...
So I was going
really
to the
good day.
Going to the toilet before I went up for the second half, and missed Catcher's goal. Was gutted.
I think that we scored at really important times, didn't we, as well, which helped significantly. It completely killed Plymouth's attempts to get going in the first half, and completely killed Plymouth's attempts to get going in the second half. So
whatever plan they'd come up with at half time, we just whacked it. It just wasn't going to happen, was it?
And that's absolutely highlights the importance of being switched on and having that, cutting edge mentality and starting halves on the front foot, and not being scared of teams and not being scared to play our way and
I think
attack the opposition.
Yeah, I think it goes down the route of the preparation that for me in a final. Like, Ian Everett's got the preparation absolutely on point. Whatever he's done to kind of galvanise and stimulate them, he's got it absolutely nailed on. And I was thinking to myself, and I think I said it to one of my dad or whoever I was sat next to. Do you think that Ian, as silly as this might sound, do you think Ian Everett might have asked them to look at the last result when we were last as a club at Wembley? Do you get what I mean? Like, this is what they had to deal with last time. Do you get what I mean? All them tiny little things that kind of wouldn't surprise you that he's gone the extra mile, and the preparation seems like it was on point.
Yeah, he's got that sports psychology absolutely nailed, and especially with this group of lads that absolutely buy into everything he says and does. And that trust in each other, I think, is massive. And when it's switched on, it's a joy to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, the combinations throughout the pitch, within their roles were all individual roles were really much of a standout as well. Like, they all got the job absolutely on point, didn't they?
Connor, catching Kyle, that 3 was outstanding on that right, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
It was really, really impressive. I think the performances over on that side were exceptional, and I think especially for Catcher, that's up there with one of his best of the season. I've just seen a comment to Tobias. He was sat a few rows behind Ben, and a highlight for me was after the first goal, he made his missus and his mate feel his heart. He looked like genuinely shocked, and I think he thought he was going to die, which is actually the spot-on truth. The first goal went in, and I just turned around. I went to Wembley with my 2 friends and my missus, and after the first goal, I actually thought I was going into cardiac arrest. I was like, "There's something wrong here," because I was perhaps half cut before I'd even got into the ground, and so first goal went in, and I was excited to say the least. But yeah, a genuine thought came across me. I think I'm going to have a heart attack. And then the second one went in, and I'm surprised I'm still here to tell the story. But yeah, it was a fantastic day, and going 3-0 up with Catcher, putting in a performance that really gave some credit to him, and sort of almost stuck a finger up to the people that have said for a long time that,
there's no
almost
almost about it, Ben. That's exactly what he did. And that was probably his motivation, to be honest.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I think then for Geff to cap it off at 4.
I'll cry. I can't even.
Really, really.
I must have watched it about 100 times, and every time it makes me feel up. It's just his little face. Oh, you could see how much that meant. And when he spoke to after, and he's like, he just wanted to fall on the floor and cry. And I was like, yeah, we all wanted to fall on the floor and cry with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a lot of big games, and I can't ever remember a time where a goal went in and it actually got me to choke up. Like, that's probably the only time the whole however many years I've been watching them and however many games I've been to that actually happened to me. He definitely got me that goal when he scored.
He needed that as well. I think he needed that.
Wasn't only because obviously he looks to the sky when, I mean, I'm not a religious person at all, but you know, that's a different story. But it's not only the fact that he looks to the sky, but he ran in a different direction, and the lads got him to kind of like let him enjoy it. Do you get what I mean? But obviously that I think that's what got me a little bit, because he didn't really know where to go, did he, and what to do, type of thing.
No, it was nice watching him sort of be rallied up by teammates and pushed towards the fans.
And two beautiful headers from corners, not scrappy corner goals, properly well taken headers.
Was it piss poor defending, or was it good blocking and good?
Piss poor defending from Kyle's. He was completely unmarked. He was completely on his own. But we know that boy can jump. He's like a frog, isn't he?
He's training for weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. Certainly, I think Kyle's, I mean, we've said it for weeks, the timing of his jump is almost down to perfection. And we can get wrapped up in so many different individual performances. Danny's just put another one on saying, tell you what, Ben, I've had many back and forths with you on Twitter about Santos. I'm so happy to say I can finally say I was wrong. Which, I mean, Colin will be the first one to tell you.
Bye.
The man's an absolute mountain. He's just somehow seems to be reaching new levels each and every week and upping his game in ways that we never thought we'd see. It's just,
what's improving the most about him, in my opinion, is his composure.
Yeah, so composed.
That seems
to
be.
He don't flap. He's unflappable at the minute. It's lovely to see, isn't it? When you look at what he was like when he first came, where he's at now, it's an amazing transformation. It's like a swan.
Different player, yeah. He's
Indeed.
Composure.
He's certainly developed his game and brought on traits that were essential to play as that middle man in the back of a high pressing back line. He's
very, very difficult to pick a man of the match, like Andrew was saying before.
It is indeed. There are a number of contenders, one which, of course, is Kachunga. Grabbed his chance both to silence some doubters and grabbed his chance in front of goal by the bollocks, I think is the right way to put it.
He was very composed. He was so composed.
He didn't know, did he? He should have had an hat-trick. He didn't grab his chances by the bollocks. He might have grabbed that header by the bollocks, but I mean, that one-on-one, I mean, not being overcritical, but even, Christ almighty, he should have scored.
I mean,
at least.
Yeah, we should have had a 7 or 8, but...
Yeah. Can we?
He's just so many. Sheehan, another one, almost feels a bit like a new signing.
Yeah,
coming back
doesn't
from
it?
injury.
Yeah.
And almost actually a new starter. Coming into that team, taking up that 8 role, really, really well, with Morley playing just a little bit ahead of him and Dempsey just in front of Morley.
I think that one highlights to me how important it is not to jump down the neck of players when they're coming back from injury if they're not impressing when they get a chance, because he's having to grow into either his position or his new role or kind of like whatever's setting him up as.
Which game was it when he was interviewed post-match and then said it all felt like it clicked?
He said it after Sheffield Wednesday, but he said it previous to that.
He said it previous to that, and he had a fantastic game at Sheffield, but he's literally like it's like before he went off injured. I know he didn't play very much for us, but you could see the potential there in him, couldn't you? And then I think everyone was just a bit, he's not the same, is he, since he's come back? But he's absolutely firing now.
I think it was
Within
after
a minute.
the Port Vale when he scored at home. I think that was the game where he said it, from what I recall.
I think he's absolutely. I don't think we've realised how important he is in our team until actually we look back at previous games and gone, shit, we could have really done with Josh Sheehan playing there. I think his ability to let us play really intense and intricate football has gone missing so many times. And those games, perhaps like Wickham, where we've resorted to playing long balls through not having really many options through the middle, Sheehan offers that in abundance. And so it's really good to see him back. Johnston and MJ also getting minutes. Good to see them back in the squad. And hopefully kicking on for the rest of the season. But
I mean, he'll have to. Georgie J's going to have to, isn't
Yeah, as always, there is never just good news with Bolton Wanderers. Obviously, Owens Hull picked up a nasty-looking injury to his ankle.
He got assaulted, is what happened. He'd pick up a nasty injury. He got assaulted.
Which will see him out for the rest of the season, courtesy of Sam Cosgrove.
I think at 2-0, they tried to target Josh Sheehan, and there was a challenge on him as well, which
that was
quite clearly targeting him because he was dictating the play in the middle of the park. And obviously they didn't manage to get their own way, but there was so much frustration running through their team, weren't there?
Yeah, and it was just that was pure frustration. Both of those tackles were late and high, and should have been red cards, both of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the referee could have done a slightly better job with both of those that we've mentioned, but in terms of managing the Plymouth group and frustration and not letting that seep into the game, which unfortunately did. And
I don't think the ref had a bad game. I just think he got them two individual instances wrong. I don't think he had a bad game. I think he managed the game quite well, in fairness, and he wasn't really seen, was he? So that's always a good sign. It's just that them two instances, he had an absolute shocker. Certainly on tolls. That was
an absolute shocker. Yeah,
awful.
Yeah, and the push on Catcher, two-handed push in the box on Catcher as well. He missed. That was Sam as well, I think, wasn't it? I think that was Cosgrove. He was a dirty bugger.
He is a bit of a bully. He's a man mountain too. So many really, really good individual performances from a Bolton Wanderers perspective, which, of course, brings us to the Fanzone Man of the Match. I wish we could give it to everyone, but that's just not the way it goes. So, Ange, we'll go to you first. Who is your Fanzone Man of the Match?
Before you do, Ange, I'll help give you a little bit more time. I think we should offer it to the chat as well.
Go to the viewers. Let's go.
There's 20 people in the chat. Really good to get their opinions on who they think were the man of the match as well.
Absolutely. Whatever we're talking about at home, drop your comments on, and you can let us know what you think, and we'll read some of them out and put them on screen.
We can't pick them all, by the way. That doesn't count.
We can't
pick half the team either. It's
There are far too many for me to keep up with sometimes. But let us know what your thoughts are. Fanzone Man of the Match, and we will make a unanimous decision. But Ange, your time has come.
I'm going to go with Catcher. Just because I'm dead soft. I'm dead soft and I'm dead happy for him. And I know that Dempsey's capable of that performance. I just think that was Catcher's best performance in a Bolton shirt. And that's why I've gone with Catcher.
I'm going to mirror that, but it's easy enough. Mine's the exact same reason. Dempsey, we've seen put in those types of performances. We know he's capable of it. It's almost a routine performance at the top of his game for Kyle Dempsey. And for Catcher to come out and do what he did, play the way he did, and play like he's, full of confidence, I think was the reasoning for me choosing Catcher for this episode's Man of the Match. Colin, who are you going to choose? You've got the deciding vote.
Well, he's not.
It's not catcher. I'm not going with the emotional element. Don't get me wrong, he played very, very well, but a lot of them played very, very well. I'm thinking along the lines of what enabled us to get going. You know, what passage of play, why did we score early? Where's the chances come from? And of course, that all happened on the right hand side. I think the reason why that happened was because once again, the Gethin-Jones and Connor Bradley combination worked an absolute treat. Gethin-Jones' ability to be able to fill in on that right side of defence so comfortably and reassuring for the rest of the players around him frees up the likes of Dempsey to get on the ball and of course Connor Bradley to get on the ball and influence the game. And they were absolutely terrified of Connor Bradley. And I think the assurance that Gethin-Jones offers that right side of the pitch for me, and I think he did absolutely everything right. It ticked up, everything ticked through him and freed up Connor Bradley, and I think it was such an important performance. And yeah, I'm going to give it to Gethin-Jones to me, not because of from an emotional standpoint, but I thought he was pretty influential throughout the game. He made a lot of important challenges, and yeah, he was great on the day. So I'm going to go for Gethin-Jones.
An absolutely great point.
We've got so many different. I love it when we've got so many different shapes.
Yeah, let's discuss these. Let's discuss them.
Yeah, indeed, we will. We'll go through them. So starting from the top, Malk has said Dempsey. Tobias has also agreed with that, adding that the lad needs a song, which I firmly agree with. Danny has said Bradley or Kachunga for me. David Green has said Dion Charles man of the match. He won the corners and scored an all-important goal as well. I think getting 2 in such a short space of time really, really, dampened Plymouth's efforts going forward and zapped them of energy. Ian Robot agreed with that and said Dion Charles, a menace all day long. We've had another one for Dempsey. The guy's a mini tank. Tobias said Charles.
I like that description. A mini tank he is, isn't he?
Literally. He's a proper solid little dude, isn't he?
Yeah,
he is. Tobias has agreed with the people saying Dion and said that he was an absolute nuisance throughout the game, and it's a close second for him.
I think it's always easy to pick the attackers because they influence the games, don't they? And they're the things that stick in your memory the most. Undoubtedly, Carl Dempsey was fantastic, but the midfield as a whole as well, it's very, very difficult in it to pick a man of the match.
It certainly is, which is a very nice feeling. There have been episodes gone by where it's been relatively straightforward picking the best from a bad bunch, so to speak.
I think there's been more episodes where it's been harder than it has been easier. I think we do tend to.
They've all played well, or
not all of them, but
we terrible.
No, yeah, no, they can't be because we're sat 5th in the league, so they're not playing bad, are they? But my point is I think there's been plenty of instances where we've had a cluster of players that have played pretty well. I think it's not always. I don't think it's always, hence why we always have different opinions on who the man of the match is, or player of the match, or whatever the hell you're supposed to call it these days.
I mean, the men, aren't they? It's man of the match.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's carry on with that.
Yeah, I have. To be fair, I've had 2 or 3 more, and I've just had 1. I've had to. I've had to have a proper think about it.
That's what we want, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is certainly a nice feeling having that list to choose from. Speaking of lists, if you were to sort of compile a list of every single Bolton game you've been to, where would that rank? Where would Sunday's events rank in your all-time list of games? I saw this asked on Twitter and thought I'd bring it to the pod. A lot of people said Reading in the playoff final was up there, but how does Sunday's Papa John's Trophy win rank for you, Ange?
See, because I wasn't at the Reading match, I watched it on the telly. It's completely different from being there.
Do you think we should ask the question, what does it rank in your live matches? I think that's a better way of asking it.
Indeed. I'd be very surprised if a game on the telly beats that, though.
No, it's right up there for me. It is. I think because it's about more than just that match as well. I think it's because it's encompassing and kind of it's everything that we've wanted for so long. It's the polar opposite of where we've been, and I think, and it's obviously that emotional aspect with me again that it was such an emotional day to just see us at Wembley again, let alone to bloody win it 4-0. So, and then to have my boy at my side, I think for me, potentially that is probably right at the top.
I would absolutely echo what you've just said. I mean,
Christ, Ben, it's not hard for you. Jesus Christ.
I'll let Andrew go first, then I'll just say.
I don't quite have many to choose from.
He's got no memory. Well, you've not got many good memories, have you, pal?
Clayton Donaldson or Liam Trotter. That's what he's doing.
It certainly beats the likes of Josh McGuinness and Clayton Donaldson kicking up the front of the park. But I think absolutely what you said. That win, it isn't just a cup win. It's so much more than that. It embodies the spirit of that group of players. It's everything that Everett and Sharon and Football Ventures have been working towards for the last 3-4 years. It's everything the fans have wanted for the last 10, 12 years. And, pardon the pun, but that trophy, there is a slice of that for so many different people. There's one for the fans, that's for the community, that's for the supporters trust, that's for Bolton Wanderers in the community, that's for the groundsman, that's for Marcus who does the videography at the club. There's a piece of that for everyone, and it hit home for me that is quite possibly one of the best Bolton games that I've ever had the pleasure of attending, but also a turning point perhaps that people will look back on favourably in 20, 30 years, wherever we might be, and one that, perhaps I'll be talking to my kids about one day, saying, I remember that game, and sharing those experiences, hopefully when we're in a much better position than what we were when, my family were telling me stories of Bolton. And for me, I think that's why it absolutely tops that list. But Colin, what about you?
Well, I'd start by saying it's definitely in my top 5. The order of that, I'm not sure about, because I like try and move away from the emotional side and think about the football side.
Well, lucky for you, you've got 5 to choose from. I can't do that.
Yeah, no, don't,
I don't know if you can remove emotion from football, Colin. It fries my brain. For me, that's it. It's football emotion.
It is, of course, but I look at it as like the achievements within the game as well, like what you've done as a club. For example, the shirt I've got on now, I wore this when we qualified for Europe at Portsmouth. Do you get what I mean? So, like, for me, that's in my top 5, qualifying for European football as a football club. You're not getting you're doing well to top that for a club of our size. Preston in the playoff final, getting back into the Premier League. And that was a game that we won then to stay in that league for 12 years or whatever it was. So it's difficult, Bayern Munich away, drawing there, getting a result against one of the biggest clubs in the world. I can go on forever with it. I'm definitely going to put it in my top 5. Where I fit it, I'm not sure. But don't get me wrong, like, obviously my parents being there, my brother being there, and my little boy and my missus, all that's magical. And I'm sure, in 10 years' time or whatever it'll be, I'll look back and think, that was probably up there when I'm looking at pictures and stuff. But from a football perspective, I think it's probably because it is the third trophy that you've got to win in England behind the FA Cup and League Cup. But from a football perspective, it's not top for me. But emotionally, what it means to the club, I get that. It's a difficult question to answer. I think it's all individual, isn't it? Really, individual circumstances and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And that's absolutely
Ben, because he's a piss of Ben, because he's not really.
I mean,
he's not competing much, is he?
So Finn's watching upstairs. He can't log into YouTube because all I'm assigning. So he said it's his top. He's 13 years old. Top with the match against Forest staying up being his number 2. So You've got some memories, Ben, if he has at 13.
Indeed,
you've got
Forest is absolutely the only one that comes remotely close. But this one tops it by a country mile for me. I think we are certainly watching history unfold, and every week that passes by, every point that goes on that table, every post-match interview.
David's made a good point. He's right. I'm not moving away from that, David. I know it's a cup. I just meant from a football perspective. Going. I don't know. It's very, like I said, it's very, very difficult.
Do you not think the style in which we won though as well, Colin? I haven't seen him play. That was one of the best I've seen him play this season as well. It was.
Yeah, but we were 2-0 down at Bayern.
It was beautiful to watch.
Do you get what I mean? I think sometimes recency bias is a thing. Like in your head, you got to try and move that. I'm just talking about my own personal experiences. I get what David. It is a cup at the end of the day, and you can't. It's all about. That's why we watch and play the sport we play, and it's all about winning, in it, and that's exactly what it is. I just think if it had a little bit more substance to the competition, throughout the whole of its longevity. For a start off, the 21s, the Premier League 21 team need to get out of that competition for a start off. It doesn't do the EFL any good at all. That. If it had more substance, I don't know. I'm probably coming across the right dick here. I'm just talking about my. I'm not being miserable. I'm not. I'm buzzing. Don't get me wrong. I am buzzing.
It's a celebration pod.
Yeah, of course it is. I'm going to shut up now. Sorry.
that is the beauty of football.
Next week.
Yeah, I'm being miserable. Yeah.
That is absolutely the beauty of football, that all those shared experiences rank so differently among so many different people. For you, Colin, it might not be the be-all and end-all, but you think about the lads travelling from Argentina, that game will stick with them for the rest of their lives, and they'll be telling their grandkids about the time they went to Wembley. Yeah. Football is such a beautiful sport, and
it's very personal to people. There's different. It might be the first match you've been to since somebody you loved in the past that you used to go and watch it with. There's so many different reasons why.
Yeah, and coming out of the pandemic as well. That's another thing.
So many different things that mean more than just what you're watching on the pitch. There's so many more reasons why things resonate with people.
It's that old saying that football is more than just a game, because it absolutely is, for so many different reasons and for so many different people across the country and across the world. But bringing it home a little bit, bringing it back round. Unfortunately, there are still games to play. We can't just sit and talk about this for the rest of the season. There is plenty more to come. Easter weekend is upon us already.
You talk about cup finals, but there's 8 more left.
There's 8 cup finals now to play. I am exhausted. Everyone else knackered.
Yeah, can I ask that question actually? I've been in work for the last couple of days, like today and yesterday. And I've not been able to get going properly yet. And I spoke to one of my mates before, and he was saying exactly the same thing. Is anybody else?
I haven't left the house for 2 days. I've been off work, and the first time I've left the house today since Sunday. I'm absolutely knackered.
Is anybody else? Yeah, is anybody else in the chat absolutely knackered?
I've got jet lag or something.
I just can't get going at all. I can't get stimulated.
But I do think it's like we said before we came on. I think because you're such a high that you then have a really steep down, as well as being knackered from travelling and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I think the absolute adrenaline rush of winning that cup and being on such a high for so long, everything else by comparison just automatically feels shit.
I know, I'm a bit sad.
Nothing else quite feels the same as being sat.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to going back to the Reebok on.
I can't wait. I'm so glad we've got 2 matches this weekend, because I'm chomping at the bit.
Really disappointed. I'm really disappointed it's Exeter as well on Friday, because it's such a long way, that in it, and I simply can't get there. By the way, that's not because I'm a shit fan. I've got a little boy to look after on Friday.
I just can't afford it.
There's that as well, but people don't start judging people to say you're a shit fan because you're not traipsing down to Exeter on Friday afternoon. But yeah, to go in it's such a long way, innit? Because if it was like a north or
anywhere like Yorkshire way or whatever would have been
north
great.
of Birmingham, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Absolutely, but those two games are upon us. Obviously, Exeter away on Friday, Cambridge at home on Monday, which I think is looking like it's going to be a big turnout for Bolton, which is wonderful to see. Of course, it's a family day, so if you haven't got your tickets, go and get them.
Can you tell people how much they are then?
£10 for an adult and
£5 for a child.
There's your reason to go.
Indeed, it is.
What else would you do on a bank holiday Monday? Woo-hoo.
Absolutely.
Don't say shopping.
If you're wondering when you can tune into the Fanzone Podcast, I think we're all unanimously agreed that we will be live on the Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. So you can catch us and we'll sort of react to both of those games all in one. So you'll get a double episode because we'll treat you to one of those. What better way to finish your Easter bank holiday with other than with the Fanzone pod?
David Green's has made an interesting point regarding Monday.
So somebody posted today that they'd spoken to ticket office. He said absolutely not about South Stand.
Yeah, he's put a rumour, isn't it?
Put on, and was it on your group that they'd spoken to the ticket office and they'd said absolutely not, we won't go in South Stand?
Well, there's your answer.
I can't remember the last time. I think it probably would have been Peterborough at home.
Because are they bringing about 800 or something at Cambridge? That's what they've sold at the minute.
Yeah, somewhere around that figure. But two really, really big games. Exeter are almost in that period of sort of mid-table obscurity where they can't really do anything for the rest of the season. But
they're the dangerous ones, aren't they? Those middle of the table ones are always tough.
As Barnsley found out not too long ago, that those teams that are playing with nothing really to play for and playing with more freedom and actually they're the teams to look out for. Obviously, Exeter coming off the back of a win against Barnsley and a real thumping against Accrington Stanley. Be an interesting game, that's for certain. And Cambridge, another one that you just cannot write off. A team that are fighting to stay in League One.
I think they're not only fighting to stay in the League One, but they're obviously the ones in mid-table. They're fighting for contracts, aren't they? So this is the difference in these leagues. It's like the lads that are there's such short contracts, aren't they? So they don't really get 3-4 year contracts at this level. So they're fighting for contracts pretty much every year, which I think is a contributing factor towards why the games are so difficult, as you might call them. Challenging is probably a better way of putting it.
Challenging.
Absolutely. It's a really good point. And Cambridge as well, it's worth noting that I've got a horrible end to the season. I think they play Wickham, possibly Plymouth as well, maybe Peterborough thrown in there. They've got some really tough games coming up. So they'll be really looking to put up a fight and make every point count. So what are you expecting from those two games? I think it's probably quite easy to say that, 6 points is the absolute minimum, looking at those two. But what are you expecting?
You know what, right? If you offer me a draw, as silly as this might sound, if you offer me a draw against Exeter, I'll probably take it. Because
that's not like you, Colin.
No. Well, I mean, I've been saying every
you
game.
Okay?
Yeah, I've been saying I just think it's after the Law's merge show and all that type of stuff. And I think as I've been trying to run it over in my head all day. Like, I know we've got players to come in who obviously went off early on Sunday, didn't play on Sunday. We've got a decent squad to choose from. But I do think the high, like we've just been talking about how high we are.
Yeah, imagine being them, buddy. Yeah.
Imagine being them. And I do think that if you offer me a point for Friday, I'll probably take it, providing that we beat is it Cambridge playing on Monday?
Yeah.
I've been saying every game's a must win, and it still is, of course. But I've been pushing that in my mind because I obviously thought at one point we could probably push towards that top two, like Barnsley proving we could have done. But yeah. So yeah, hopefully we win. But I would actually take a point on Friday because I think we can kind of afford to in a way because obviously.
That's our game in hand. That point is our game in hand.
Well, we have got a game in hand now, haven't we? And I think the teams have gone had a bit of a nightmare around us recently, haven't they? So Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong on the chat, by the way, if you think I'm wrong with that.
It is certainly hotting up in that playoff mix. Obviously, Derby dropping out, and Peterborough making their way in. There's some there's very little room for error in that mix. But what are you expecting from these two games?
So I watched the Exeter Barnsley match, and what a shower of shite it was. I know it was 3-1, but Jesus, it was grim. It was proper grim.
What sense, Ange?
It was just awful to watch. The football was awful to watch. It was scrappy. It was minging. I didn't enjoy watching it. I watch all sorts of football, and I did not enjoy watching it. So although the scoreline was 3-1, I'm not convinced that Exeter necessarily. They drew 2-2 with Fleetwood on Saturday, didn't they?
Was that at home or was that away?
They were away, I think, at Fleetwood. Well, we know what Fleetwood are like to play against.
Not a bad point, really, for them. Really, I don't think that.
Yeah, not a bad point.
Not bad side.
So I'm not hugely concerned, because I kind of agree with Colin with I would take a point after the come down of the match. I think what everybody would like is off the back of that massive victory to push and it spur us on, and we'll just like.
I think it will do. Yeah, I think it will do. But so soon after that game, I'm thinking it's going to be. You know what I might be thinking here, Ange? I think the reason why I'm thinking along them lines is because after the Accrington game, we had a bit of a dip, didn't we? But I think the only reason why that happened was because we played that many games in such a short period of time, and we had that many players out as well. That was probably a contributing factor. It's a difficult one.
Yeah, and that shitty pitch as well. So we played beautiful football on a beautiful carpet like Wembley. That's massive, and we've got loads of space on. But then we go to Exeter and it's all a bit crap.
Is it a poor surface? Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't nice.
I watched the game you're talking about, but I watched it on my iPad, and it's difficult to.
It's hard to tell, isn't it, on a little screen? But yeah, I don't think they'll make it. They definitely won't make it easy for us. No chance.
No, although their fans will be welcoming us.
Oh, they'll love us, won't they? After
that's about as close as
it's sold out. The lads have sold it out.
They'll be giving us a guard of honour, won't they?
It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one, and only time will tell. It's a real toss up between, obviously the lads are going to be buzzing with confidence and feeling the highs of Wembley, but hopefully those highs don't distract from the league and offer perhaps a little bit.
I mean, you put the experience in the side now. So Dion scored 2 goals for his country the week before. Like a few days before he scored a goal at Wembley. You kind of
can't get much higher than that, can you?
No. What a week that lad had.
And it resonated in his play as well, because I think it was
so confident. He looked so confident.
Phenomenal, wasn't he? I think what we need on Friday is a bit of experience in that starting 11. It wouldn't surprise me if Cameron Jerome and Kieran Lee started on Friday night, just to get them a little bit level-headed, a little bit, not to get carried away with themselves. Maybe MJ in the middle of the park as well, possibly.
I don't know if he'll make so many changes, but we'll see.
Well, you know what he's like. He
got a
utilises
game weekend, don't we? So.
Exactly, and he's keen to utilise his squad in it at the best of times. And I think certainly after that game on Sunday, I think that'll be prominent. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes 2 or 3 changes, personally.
Absolutely.
Well, one's a definite, innit? Or a win.
I know. Yeah,
indeed it is, and it'll be interesting to see. But only time will tell, and fingers crossed. We'll be talking about maybe 4, maybe even 6 points on Tuesday. But I think that's just about all we have time for on this evening's episode. It's been a good one. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us. We do appreciate it. You've all been very lively in the chat, which of course we appreciate. Like I said, we'll be back with you on Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. You'll be able to watch the podcast live with us. But if you have missed any of the recent episodes, or perhaps you can't make one and would like to tune in and catch it up, you can do on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever your chosen platform is to get your podcast. You can do exactly that.
Can I, before you carry on, Ben, can I just say one thing before we wrap it up? Just our thoughts with the now former chef or head chef at the club, James. I'm not sure what his surname is, but obviously, as I'm sure a lot of fans will know, obviously he's going through a bit of a tough time, and I think we all saw today that the positions will now become available to fill. So that indicates that he's left the I say company, but yeah, essentially what it is, the club. But yeah, thoughts with him, whatever he's going through. At this time, because obviously, you know, it was highlighted to us that the lads had gone through a bit of a rough trip with him early on last week.
Absolutely. I thought go out to Jamie. I very much doubt he's watching, but thoughts are with him. And well, all we've got time for today, but you can catch us again on Tuesday, and whatever platform you get your podcasts on, you'll find us over there. You can find us on social media as well. It's at the Fanzone Pod. Go and give us a follow. It really helps and it is appreciated. But we will catch you in the next one, and hopefully we'll be talking about a jubilant Easter weekend. So
it'll be a 6-point podcast. That's what it'll be.
And we might not be quite tired.
Yeah, it'll be a 6-point podcast, but I'd hope for 4-point podcasts and hope not to be as tired. And hope Ben's got rid of one of his many colds, because I think he gets more cold than my 2-year-old son.
And on that note, we will catch you in the next one. Yeah.